All right, there we go. Well, welcome everyone. We're so excited that you are here with us today to give you more information about Peace Corps and opportunities that come with it. Hopefully we'll answer a lot of questions that you have through our slides. But like Preston said, please utilize the Q&A function and put in questions as we're going along, and then we'll be answering them live at the end of our presentation as well. So just by way of introduction, my name is Lauren Willie. I am based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, where Western Governor University is headquartered. And so we are happy to welcome everybody who is joining us from around the country. I served as a health volunteer in Cameroon, West Central Africa. So if I look a little different in my photo, it's because this was from my service, and Preston is also a returned Peace Corps volunteer, and we were chatting about sometimes how unrecognizable we look after coming home from Peace Corps service. By way of languages that I learned and spoke frequently during my service, it was French, Pidgin English, Bayangi, and Ejigam. So if you have a question about whether or not you'll learn a language, you'll probably learn more than one during Peace Corps service. That's a great skill to have as you're going along in life as well. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Tatenda. She works for our Peace Corps South Africa office and has come for 6 months based out of Salt Lake to support recruitment efforts. So we are excited to have her with us today as well. I put her email address on here, and we'll put it in the chat towards the end of our session today if you do have questions about what Peace Corps South Africa is like, and we'll discuss our Peace Corps response program that she heads up in South Africa as well. So again, please put any questions you have in the Q&A box, or you can ask live at the end of the session as well. And we'll be answering some of those questions live. So if you want them answered live or would prefer that they just be answered one-on-one, I'll also provide an email address at the end where you can reach us and we can answer those questions one-on-one in a more private setting versus a Q&A live session at the end. So I just want to show you a video. It's a new video that we have about service in Peace Corps.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready to be part of something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy, the teachers, the growers, the builders, the skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and go all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world. Together. We are powered by connection. We're driven by purpose. We join hands to make a difference. We open our arms, our hearts, our doors, our minds. We learn more, give more. We share freely and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? Learn more than you teach. Plant ideas and grow wise. To go the distance to make a difference. Then we have a place where you belong. Join us. The Peace Corps, going the distance to make a difference.
So before we launch into our mission and go into a lot of great information, I want to know kind of what brought you all here and what was of interest to you in learning about the Peace Corps. So we're going to do a quick poll that I am launching. So go ahead and tell us why you're here today. What brought you here? Some people didn't know that Peace Corps still existed. Someone was invited by a friend. it might always have been a dream of yours too. So we just like to know what brought you here to us. So we'll give you a couple more minutes to do the poll with us. I love that I'm seeing, I've always wanted to serve in the Peace Corps, and that's a big one. And that you got an email, so marketing works. All right, we'll go ahead and close this poll. Just kind of share out the results so you can see. Someone's seen a Peace Corps ad. So thank you so much for sharing that. It helps us know who's joining us. So thank you for being part of this today. All right, so the mission of the Peace Corps hasn't changed in the 62 years that we have been a federal agency and as part of the US government. And that is to promote world peace and friendship. We have evolved over time because we have needed to, but we have always gone out with that mission in mind and our volunteers. And we do that by three very strategic goals. So first of all, we are invited by countries and we partner with them to work on their needs and their interests and how they want to see their communities grow. And so they're the ones who select the sectors and the number of volunteers that are allowed in their country. And we partner with them to ensure that we're meeting those needs as well. So they ask for trained individuals to work individually with communities on those goals and with those projects that they've identified as needing assistance with. The second one is to promote a better understanding of Americans as we are in these communities that we're living and working in for 2 years of service. It's helpful that they see that not everybody looks alike in the US, not everybody has the same background, and we all share very different and unique traditions that we grew up with in our own families that we share while we're in Peace Corps service. And the third one is to promote a better understanding of the people who we lived and served during our 2 years of service as we come back to the United States, and really helping people understand different cultures, maybe learning some key phrases in the different languages that we learn, but helping them understand about a different part of the world that has become such a part of a Peace Corps volunteer's journey and life. So why choose the Peace Corps? So the Peace Corps provides a very unique opportunity that's very hands-on, it's grassroots driven, and comes from a place of collaboration and collective impact. We're working with communities, we're working alongside our partners, we're getting our hands dirty together, and that way we're transferring that knowledge to the communities to increase sustainability. We love that Peace Corps gives volunteers the opportunity to fully integrate into a new culture, to be a part of community celebrations and the day-to-day too. You're building relationships that last a lifetime. The first Sunday of every month, I still talk to people in the community where I served. And I've been home for 13 years. So it definitely is a lifetime of friendships and relationships and extended family too. You're sharpening your skills and building new ones. There are people who say that Peace Corps volunteers are better than duct tape. So duct tape is a go-to for everything that we need. It's a go-to hack. And so they say Peace Corps volunteers are better than duct tape because we're building new ones. We're experiencing so many unique things that stay with us for the rest of our lives. And those skills translate and transfer to what we come back to career-wise or whatever those next step bring after we are returned from Peace Corps service. The adapting, learning, and growing in many ways, definitely a key one as you're in new culture, new diets, new environment, new everything, and really learning and growing yourself. And then being a window into a truly unique opportunity. Every Peace Corps volunteer's experience is different and unique. And so it provides just a wonderful glimpse into, for people in the United States to see what Peace Corps service is like through individual stories. And then you're making a lasting difference and impact. When I was in my community, they they knew who their English teacher was from the 80s and still knew everything about them while they learned while they were in their community. So there definitely is a lasting difference. They would sing me songs that they had learned about the ABCs and the different sounds that they can make too. So just really neat to see that lasting impact carry on, throughout service and throughout that time. So we have two different Peace Corps programs. Our first one and our most popular one is the Peace Corps Volunteer Program. So this one is for US citizens who are 18 years and older. Those are our main requirements. And then we have other requirements that the countries have asked for volunteers coming in. It includes 3 months of training in the country. So language training, technical training, cross-cultural training, safety and security training, health training as well. And you're living with a host family during that time. And after those first 3 months of training, you have 2 years with a community that you'll be matched with, where you'll do projects and you'll receive a living stipend, and we'll go over some of the benefits and support that you'll have during those 2 years of service. And then our Peace Corps Response is a short-term, high-impact experience required program that Tatenda runs out of South Africa, and that we partner with numerous countries where we have Peace Corps volunteers. These projects last from 3 to 12 months, and these are for experienced professionals who already have several years of experience in the different sectors that we'll discuss in a minute, but don't require as much training as the Peace Corps Volunteer Program because of their extensive experience in those. So just to give you an overview, so to date, we've had about 240,000 returned Peace Corps volunteers who have served, which is a pretty good number, but we want to add to it. So hopefully we inspire a few of you today to be part of this journey and to become Peace Corps volunteers. 90% of returned volunteers would recommend service. 95% of our volunteers have at least an undergraduate degree. And if you're worried about age, our volunteers range in age from 20, and our oldest one to date has been 86. So age, there is no age ceiling for Peace Corps. So just keep that in mind, that even if you're here today and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if this is right for me right now, just know that it could be an option and a possibility at any time in your future. So these are our Peace Corps countries. We are in over 60 countries and counting. We have more that we are getting back into post the evacuation during COVID-19, where we evacuated all 7,000 volunteers from across all the countries that we work in. And a few of them we're not currently in, such as Ukraine, but the asterisk next to all of the countries just means that we are piloting a virtual service program, and we are doing that currently in Ukraine. We have 27 returned Peace Corps volunteers who are supporting the efforts in Ukraine through virtual service. And we have more countries that are reaching out to us all the time to invite Peace Corps back or to have Peace Corps volunteer for the first time in their country. And we just recently opened up Vietnam for English teaching, which is a really exciting partnership for us here in the United States to have. And so more countries are being added every year as we're able to, and as we're able to recruit volunteers to fill those. So before we move on from there, I have another poll that I would like you to participate in, which is in region of interest. So we work in a lot of different areas. So I want to know if there's a particular area of the world that is of interest to you to travel to or to potentially serve as a Peace Corps volunteer. So I'll give you a couple minutes just to answer this next poll. Seeing some Africa. Africa is our largest region that we serve in. It has the most countries participating in Peace Corps. Oh yes, we've got some of the entire world intrigues me. So just so you can see, lots all over, which is fantastic. And I love the entire world because we'll talk about that in a minute when it comes to the different types of applications that we have as part of Peace Corps service. So thank you all very much for participating in that one. All right, so these are our sector area concentrations. So when we partner with a country and when a country invites us, they pick 2, sometimes up to 4 sectors that they would like volunteers to come and participate in, and where the entire country, all the communities can apply for a volunteer to come and support efforts in one of these areas. So we have agriculture, which focuses a lot on food security. Youth and development is a roll-up of every sector into one, where you're focusing on empowering the next generation. Education is our largest sector that we work in, and we are providing instruction in English as a second language, math and science as part of the subjects that we teach. We also have volunteers that support teacher trainers, so training teachers to take over these subjects that volunteers are teaching. The environment is a relatively newer sector that we have, and one of our smallest ones, but it's really about climate change and environmental impact and the sustainability for natural resources. So we're doing a lot of environment preservation and conservation education. Health is a big sector of ours. It's the second largest. And we are not diagnosing, we're not sticking anyone with needles. This is a public health campaign that we have that focuses on prevention education surrounding different diseases in that area and helping people just understand the health impact in the area, and trying to prevent and build healthier lifestyles through water sanitation and hygiene, nutrition education, and disease prevention as well. And then our community economic development sector really focuses on creating opportunities for entrepreneurs and people who are interested in helping with small businesses and finding different ways to support local economies and help them grow too. Down at the bottom, you see this box that is secondary projects. And while you have kind of a main area of focus, the beautiful thing about integrating into a new culture is building trust amongst the communities and having them come to you with other projects or ideas that they would like your assistance with, or to help them find resources. And every individual that comes into Peace Corps has a very unique talents and skills and things that only you have that could be a great fit for your community and maybe benefiting them in ways that they never even thought possible and never even thought to ask out of a Peace Corps volunteer as well. So I want to share just some brief anecdotes from my own Peace Corps service, and I've invited Preston if he would like to also share his experiences as well. So you kind of get a better sense of what a possible project could look like that you're working on, and then that secondary project as well. So as a health volunteer, one of the main areas that the NGO who applied for me or applied for a Peace Corps volunteer to come wanted someone to focus on was on HIV/AIDS, stigma, and education. Now, when I went into my community, what I didn't know is that they thought that AIDS stood for Americans' Invention for Discouraging Sex. And so I was really, I had to get really creative with how, as an American, we were going to address this because there were high transmission rates. They didn't even believe that it existed. And there was one individual in the community who was an older gentleman who had AIDS and would tell people about it. But there just wasn't this belief or even kind of buy-in to this and to address it and the stigma. And so what did we do? We sought out the common language of the world, which is soccer or football. And we held on World AIDS Day a soccer tournament. And we didn't tell anybody, but during halftime, this gentleman talked about HIV/AIDS, did transmission and prevention talked about testing and treatment, and that there is a way to live positively with it, and that people shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. A couple weeks later, it wasn't very well received, but we finished out the tournament because we had, I think we had some fish that had been procured as the prize for the team. And then a couple weeks later, we were talking with our health club, and someone brought up that they wanted to learn more about HIV/AIDS. And so really our health club at the secondary school or the high school that we were working with was our in, because they wanted to know more about it, because they had heard from, family and friends who had lived outside of the community that HIV/AIDS was a real thing. And that brought up opportunities for us to do education within that community. And right here, all the secondary school students are signing a pledge to live positively without discriminating people who have this. And so that was really powerful and took the 2 years that I was there to get to this point. We focused on other things, but this is a community project experience that could be something that you work on, especially in Africa with HIV/AIDS and addressing the stigma and the transmission rates as well. The secondary community project experience that I worked on was making friends a world away. So before I left, I was doing some tutoring at a local elementary school, and one of the teachers heard that I was, going into Peace Corps service and asked if I would write their students to let them know what life was like and to help them understand a little bit better where I was and to talk about opportunities for their future as a Peace Corps volunteer. And so I lived across the street from a Catholic primary school. And one day I was just walking around the field there, and one of the teachers asked if I'd be willing to come and teach math because they didn't have a math teacher. And I said, sure. Again, these secondary projects, you're meeting the needs that the community has. And so I was there. I was reading a letter that I had gotten back from this classroom and this class that I had been connecting with, the 6th grade class. And they're like, well, we want to know what it's like in the US. And so I asked her if the students would be interested in writing to having a pen friend in Cameroon. And so that started just kind of an amazing exchange of letters and even learning letter writing and how to address an envelope and what to ask people. And many of them discovered that, having siblings isn't the easiest thing in the world. And that provided a very unique connection for them and similarities that they weren't so different after all. They both made friendship bracelets, and we exchanged those through the mail, which was really fun for them to have. And then the students in the US created a Coins for Cameroon fundraiser because the students in Cameroon didn't have textbooks of their own and had never had one to physically look at or to touch. And so this was a really great fundraiser, and nothing that I said, but they wanted their friends to have textbooks because they knew how important that was. So there are just lots of different opportunities that each volunteer has in their primary and secondary projects. Preston, did you want to come off mute and talk about any of your experiences as a Peace Corps volunteer?
Yeah, happy to quickly. Thanks. And sorry, my apologies. No great graphics to go with this, but I served from 2006 to 2008 in the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. I was assigned to a village called Juk. So it was in Mauritania, which is in West Africa, but just north of the Senegalese border. I spoke French and Wolof, which were the languages in that region. My primary assignment was working with a women's co-op, who was largely an agricultural co-op, but they also were seamstresses and sort of made handmade goods for the market. And my undergrad was in economics. I thought I wanted to go into business and international development. So I was assigned to this group through the larger context of small enterprise development, which is now community economic development, but essentially bringing some business processes and standardization to the work that the women were doing in the village. They were so well established and organized already. It was just a matter of bringing some of the things that I had brought, some of the things I had learned in my degree program to bear to sort of maximize efficiencies and to help them do more with what they were already doing, which was exceptional. And my secondary project was a project called Furrow Mesichono, which was in Mauritania. One of the big issues were people would use cook stoves, but they'd use them largely inside, and there was just a lot of smoke generated by these stoves, and it was just becoming a huge health problem for folks. And so in partnership with a couple of NGOs and the US Department of Health, there was this program to develop a more efficient cooking stove that still used wood, but just produced a lot less smoke. And so my secondary project was helping to manage that grant and different vendors that were associated with that grant to make sure that these stoves were being produced and distributed and sort of bringing the health benefits that everyone wanted to see through the development of these stoves. And that was just exceptional projects, really great exposure for me as a young professional. And then just quickly, when I was able to come back, my service enabled me to get a free fellowship program for my master's degree. So I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee. And because of my Peace Corps service, I was able to leverage that into a free master's. And then, whereas I was interested in business and international development previously, that experience helped me realize that there was a lot of work to be done domestically. And it sort of launched my career into direct service nonprofits, specifically that sort of stove project. Gave me exposure to a lot of grants and how those work. So I was able to parlay that into direct service nonprofit work, which became workforce development work, which is eventually what brought me to WGU in our career center and helping students find jobs. So thanks for the space to share my experience. And I just think of it very fondly and I'm so happy I did it.
Thanks so much, Preston. You'll find that there are a lot of returned Peace Corps volunteers that love talking about their service. So that is also something that we offer if you want to connect with a returned volunteer who served in a particular sector or country, or just want to hear more about their experiences. We have so many that would love to talk with you one-on-one and answer more questions for you as well. So thank you so much, Preston, for sharing that. And kind of what comes after Peace Corps service too, definitely sets you up for a very unique career after, and we will go over some of those benefits as well. So benefits during service. So there is no out-of-pocket cost to you, except during the application process. That could be some medical that is not covered by Peace Corps, but for the most part, there is no out-of-pocket cost to our volunteers to do this. You have a living stipend every month that provides more than enough for your needs and is tied to what your community would make. So you're living how they live, but there's no shortage of you being able to have your needs met. Housing is provided for you and identified for you as well to ensure that it meets Peace Corps standards for safety and security as well. Travel benefits, so your plane ticket to and from country is included as well. And you have medical and dental coverage for your 2 years, your 27 months that you're there. So if you do have any medical needs that come up, they will be covered by Peace Corps, and you will have annual medical visits and dental cleanings and things like that too. There is student loan assistance and deferment as well. So if you do find yourself with having student loans and you're like, I don't know if I can go, each lender is a little bit different, but we recommend that you talk with them, and we do have more information to help you navigate that too, if that is something that might prohibit you from doing service. And then career skills and training. You're definitely learning a lot about working with communities. There's project management, there's grants management, there's applying for grants, there's just a whole host of skills that you come back with that are highly attractive to employers, and especially being a return volunteer, it definitely holds a lot of weight, still has a really good reputation with what employers are looking for in future employees. So some benefits after service, you get about $10,000 pre-tax in transition funds, because we know that life costs money the second you would come home from service. There are professional skills that you can come back to the US with. Our graduate school benefits, we'll talk in the next slide about our Coverdell Fellows program. We have federal employment advantages. So you have a year of non-competitive eligibility. So if you want to work for a federal agency or anywhere in the federal government, you have a year where your application is kind of put towards the top of the applicant pool where you are considered, and gives you a competitive advantage for that hiring process, as well as there are some jobs that are only open to people who hold non-competitive eligibility. So really helps you if you want to get your foot in the door for federal service as you come back. There's student loan assistance after you come back as well. And we do have a whole part of our agency, a whole department that assists with career resources and support coming back. And we do have a Return Peace Corps volunteer job board where different agencies and different companies around the US and the globe are looking for Return Peace Corps volunteers. And that is specifically for return volunteers to look on that job board. And then additional service opportunities. So our Peace Corps response, we have many volunteers that come back from service and they want to do more. And so the response, which is, those 3 to 12-month positions, are shorter term, but they also come back with skills needed in these countries. So can do Peace Corps response positions. They also come back and work with AmeriCorps as well, which is another great domestic service opportunity and our sister and partner organization here in the United States. And there, opportunities for you to share your experience as well as part of our third goal in, talking to other people who are interested in Peace Corps, going in and doing school presentations to elementary, middle, and high school students as well. Lots of opportunities to share with our different community groups that we have in the United States as well. So a little bit more about graduate school. So this is a unique benefit because it's a lifetime benefit. So we have more than 100 colleges and universities that are partners throughout the United States. We have over 200 degree partner programs. So they're mainly tied to the different sectors that we worked in and tied to Peace Corps volunteer experiences. So a lot in public health, a lot in MBAs, a lot in journalism too, sharing stories and things like that. So just a very unique range of programs that volunteers have eligibility to, and it is lifetime. So a lot of these have waivers for the application fees, scholarships. Some is 100% tuition coverage, stipend. So each of them have an amount that they have set aside, but it will be money off of the tuition that you have. So it is a great benefit. Again, lifetime, so you don't have to have life figured out right when you get back from Peace Corps service either. And it's just a great resource for Return Peace Corps volunteers. So now we're going to talk about the application process. This will come back up again towards the end of this, but I wanted to go over kind of how to browse and to start applying. So on our website, you'll see our 2 different opportunities. So our Peace Corps volunteer and our Peace Corps response volunteer. And then as you click on that, you'll see that there are 2 different types of opportunities and applications that we have. You can select which sector you're interested in. So you can kind of filter by that. You can filter by language requirements. So currently we only have many of our Central and South American countries that have a Spanish language requirement, which is 2 semesters of college level Spanish within 6 years of applying, or 4 years of high school Spanish within 8 years of applying. And the other area that sometimes has a prior language requirement is in our French West African countries. that ask for any romance language still within that same 2 semesters of college level romance language within 6 years of applying, or 4 years of high school romance language experience within 8 years of applying. But any prior language experience that you have is also a benefit to you as you apply for Peace Corps. You can filter by regions and countries. So those of you who wanted to serve in Africa, you can select Africa and see all the opportunities that are there. And we also have opportunities for couples to serve together. So there are specific countries that you can look into there if you're wanting to serve as a couple. The other application is the serve where you are needed most. So for those of you who selected the entire world intrigues me, this would be a good one for you to select. So we look at your skills, abilities, kind of your background and your resume, and match those with a country and a project that has a higher need for volunteers. And with this one, you can still say, I'd love to serve in this region or in this country, and I'm really interested in these sectors, and we do our best to match you with those preferences that you have. So there's that one, and you just put in your earliest availability date, and then we look at all the options and positions open based on that availability date, where you would be a good fit, and then let you know where we're considering you for Peace Corps service. Or again, you apply to the specific country and the specific program and project that has been outlined in that one that you're looking for. So after you've browsed, after you've decided which one you want to apply to, you will be asked to complete a health history form, which will allow us to know, based on your health history, which countries you would be medically pre-cleared for. After that, you might be invited to have an interview. And then after the interview, that is when an invitation would be issued. Then there's medical and legal clearance that you would have to do. So it's like a physical and some lab work, dental work, and then legal clearance is fingerprinting. And then if all of that comes back without having to change a country based on any medical things that have come up, there is some onboarding that you'll do 2 months prior to service. And it's online documentation, some online trainings before you depart. And all of this takes about 6 to 9 months to complete. We have 4 different application cycles throughout the year. We have a January 1st application deadline, an April 1st application deadline, a July 1st application deadline, and an October 1st application deadline if you are applying to a specific country and a specific sector. So just know that this takes a good amount of time to apply to the Peace Corps, but as recruiters, we assist you in the application process and help ensure that your application is competitive and you have your best chance of being considered and receiving that interview and invitation. Your chances increase by 55% if you do work with a local recruiter, because we do know what our team is looking for as they're reviewing your application. So we make sure that that is really stand out for you and to help you as well. So the application takes approximately 45 to 60 minutes to complete once you have your resume and motivation statement ready. You have 30 days to complete your application once you start it. So it's always good to reach out, talk to a recruiter, get everything ready to go before you start that application. And then you're only allowed to submit 1 application at a time for the Peace Corps volunteer, the 27-month opportunity. So this is my contact information. So I am a recruiter. I am based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, but we have recruiters all across the United States. And I know many of you are joining us from other states as well. So please feel free to take down my information and reach out to me if you want to have a one-on-one or just to ask questions that you didn't want to ask in the Q&A box too. And I will be putting this in the chat so you can copy and paste this as well. And we do have about 15 minutes left. So I want to go over some of the questions that you guys have in the Q&A. We'll kind of go through those. If you do have questions that you'd like to come off mute and ask us, please feel free to raise your hand and we will give you the option to connect with us live as well. So we've got about 7 questions in the Q&A that we'll go ahead and go through. And then as you have more, please feel free to put them in as well. So I'm going to, should we keep recording, Preston, or should we stop recording? And
I'd love to keep reporting.
okay,
I just think the questions will be helpful for anyone who watches. Thanks.
perfect. All right, don't worry, I won't say anybody's names as we're going through these, but how old is too old to join for the Peace Corps? So you're never too old to join Peace Corps. So the Peace Corps is for any age. As you get older and as you've had fabulous experience in life, that medical clearance can sometimes be a little more involved, just based on the fact that you have lived a wonderful life. So you're never too old to apply for Peace Corps. So we encourage everyone to. So thank you for that question. No age limit. Husband and wife thinking of doing this together. Absolutely possible you'll work in the same country, sometimes in the same community, or you're living together and working in communities that are very close. It just depends on what the needs of and what the nature is of those needs in the community. But we've had a lot of couples serve together and they have loved it. So unfortunately, dependents are not able to come with you. So you look into this when your dependents are grown and kind of on their own or ready to do Peace Corps service themselves. We have a mother-daughter who are serving in different countries, but they are serving at the same time because they both really wanted to do it. So just really cool. But yes, anytime is a good time to start thinking about it and start planning for it, and even just have a discussion of what it's like to apply as a couple, because it's a little different process than the regular application. So the other thing to consider as a couple is sometimes you would be in different training communities. Sometimes training communities, you'll have one for health, one for agriculture. So during those first 3 months of training, you may be living apart, but then can get together on the weekends. Again, very, very country specific there. You do have to be a US citizen to participate in the Peace Corps. There are similar programs actually in Canada. And if you want to reach out to me, I can send you those links as well. IT professionals are absolutely needed as technology is becoming more and more accessible in these countries that we're in. We started a very, very small computer lab while I was there. And we didn't have internet until like the last day I was in the community, but we prepped everybody to, start typing and to even, keep up equipment that comes to them and is donated as well, and learning how to repair things themselves. So IT professionals are needed. It may not come out and saying like an IT professional to keep track of a farming cooperative's annual income or something like that. But that is a skill that is needed in every aspect and in everyone, especially youth and development, as technology is becoming more and more a part of their lives. And maybe them not even understanding that IT could be a path for them in the future where they could bring that back to so many communities who could benefit from that too. So IT professionals, absolutely needed. So many different applications for you to use your specific skills and talents to benefit these communities. Yes, okay. So a good question. Currently doing their undergraduate studies, we recommend doing Peace Corps after you have completed your undergraduate degree. You can apply before you finish. So as long as those departure dates are after you complete your degree, you can apply for Peace Corps about a year ahead of you finishing school. So we have a lot of people who are applying right now ahead of like a April, May, June. I kind of forget what call it when graduations are, but upon completing their undergraduate degree, they're applying now for departure after they finish their degree. So there is that option and opportunity. No problem. Someone joined late. There isn't a base salary while serving, but all of your expenses are covered. So you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses, except if you want to do any personal travel while in country. Peace Corps won't, send you on vacation to Comoros if that's where you want to go. So you'll use personal monies for that, or whatever's left over in your stipend. You can kind of save that up to help offset that cost as well. But everything is covered. Your stipend covers housing, food, incidentals that you'll need as well. Law school part of educational opportunities, definitely a great, we do have some law programs that are part of our Peace Corps Coverdell Fellows. In that one, we do have some postdoctorate as well. It really is just based on the partnerships that we have with colleges and universities. I believe that there are 2 law programs that are part of that opportunity. But know that Peace Corps on your application for law school, medical school, things like that, even if it isn't one of the ones that participate in our fellows program, there are great opportunities for you to be considered, for you to be a competitive applicant because you've had that experience, as well as different scholarships and opportunities that are available to return Peace Corps volunteers outside of that educational benefit coming back as well. Response volunteers do get the same benefits. At the end of their term, though, that transition allowance of the $10,000 for the Peace Corps volunteer opportunity, which is the 2 years of service, that one is that is tied to how many months you've completed and accumulates over your total time served in the Peace Corps. So for response, I think it's closer to $6,000 at the end of like a 1-year term, but it's a monthly calculation, so it ranges a little bit more for response volunteers, that end of completion benefits, but all the other ones are the same. You get your medical and dental, everything else is covered while you are a Peace Corps response volunteer, and they do have a separate recruitment team. So if you are interested in that as well, please feel free to send me an email and I will send you that contact information as well. So a couple of people have asked for my information again, so I'm just going to put that in the chat to everyone. There we go. Everyone should be able to see that now, to copy and paste as well. Again, you do have to be a US citizen in order to be considered for Peace Corps service. You don't need to have a specific career specialty to join the Peace Corps. The only thing that disqualifies applicants is if they can't pass medical and legal. And if you do have any medical and legal questions, please reach out to me and I'll let you know who to contact about those as well. But we also don't expect you to, say in the agriculture sector, you may have, a small garden at home or participate in a community garden or, volunteer in invasive weed gathering in some areas. We don't expect you to have all of these skills before going over and to be an expert in agriculture in Madagascar. Just kind of impossible for us to expect that of you. That's why during your first 3 months of training in country will be about hands-on technical skills to help you understand agriculture in that area and what you would be doing as a project. And you'll actually do a project in your training community. So you see kind of all the different components and learn from the community as to, what the different crops are, maybe where they're having issues due to different climate change issues and things like that. So as you look through different opportunities, there will be required skills, which is either a bachelor's degree or 5 years of professional work experience. And then there will be desired skills too. So different things that could set you apart and make you a more competitive applicant as well. So again, the only thing that could disqualify you is in the health and legal arena. And during the application, we just say be open, be honest, be transparent about anything that you have in your legal or medical history, because if things come out a little bit later on, that could also disqualify you simply by not disclosing it. So again, if you have questions about those, please email me and I'll let you know who specifically to reach out to, because I'm not an expert in medical or legal, but I can send you to those who are. Yes, when you're placed in the country, you can teach all the different classes that you want to. A lot of volunteers start school clubs. You can teach IT classes. People do adult literacy, earth clubs, many different things. So a lot of great opportunities, again, for you to use your specific skills and talents to benefit these communities as well. We have a lot of veterans who apply and come work with us as well. So yes, anybody who's a veteran, absolutely. Peace Corps service is a little different than military service, but another way to give back, and having that experience as well gives you a very unique perspective and is representative of who we are as Americans as well. So this one is a good one. Is certification as a teacher required to be considered for education assignments? So our education sector is the only one that does require that you have a bachelor's degree. It does not have to be in an education sector. The only component, if you do the teaching English as a second language, we might ask you to do 40 hours of ESL work before your Peace Corps service. And so that would be after you apply, after you're invited and you're doing all of this, usually around 40 hours of ESL tutoring or teaching before you're going, but you do not need to be certified as a teacher to be considered for our education program. Just needing that any undergraduate degree and then being able to maybe complete a more specialized ask that they have for that specific program. And then if you do have that before going, you again would just have that to offer and possibly be able to help with curriculum design, training teachers, and a whole host of other components that you have gained in that education program that you've been in as well. So yes, there are shorter volunteer terms in our Peace Corps response, but our Peace Corps volunteer, all of them are 27 months, so that 3 months of training and then 2 years of service. Yes, if you have professional teaching experience, please apply. There will be a lot of great benefits to having that professional experience as a Peace Corps volunteer. Minimum service for volunteers is 27 months and the maximum. We do have recruiters in the Seattle, Washington area, so please feel free to send me an email and I will connect you with them. And there are a lot of great local events that happen as well. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'll connect you with a recruiter and they'll let you know of those different events in the area. So yes, you are allowed to travel home during service. You get 2 vacation days a month. So again, this would be a personal expense for you. Peace Corps doesn't pay for you to go home unless it's in case of an emergency, family emergency, that we would help provide that transportation home for you. But you're welcome to travel. We definitely tell you to take some time away from your community just to see sites for yourself. And to recharge as well. And yeah, but that would be any personal travel as a personal expense, not covered by Peace Corps. Yes, you will receive a recording of the meeting. And yes, we can send links to the application as well. Spouses do have to serve together as Peace Corps volunteers. They are not allowed to relocate with you while you serve. They can come, I think it's for up to 3 months at a time. Every country is a little bit different, but that's on average. they can come and spend 3 months, but then they will have to go home or leave for a period of time before being able to come back, because the stipends that we set up and everything that we do is really based on volunteer opportunities, and we want to make sure that it's fair for everyone. And so a spouse is not able to relocate with you. I know this wasn't a question that was asked, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Pets are not allowed to come with you to Peace Corps service. If you do have an emotional support animal or any other type of support animal, we do have an office that you can reach out to about accommodations, but because of vaccinations and everything that needs to happen with animals, volunteers are not allowed to bring them with them. So if you do have questions about that, please reach out and I'll connect you to the appropriate resources there as well. Okay, I think I've got it all. Any that I missed that you saw, Preston or Tatenda? Anybody else want to come off mute?
I think you covered it.
Okay, these were fantastic questions. Again, I'll put my contact information in the chat for everyone. So please feel free to get in touch with us, to reach out. Thank you all so much for coming, learning about Peace Corps, and hopefully we'll have some of you as Peace Corps volunteers soon or reaching out to get some more information as well. So you can go to our website, peacecorps.gov, and find a lot of other great information there as well, along with the application.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lauren, on behalf of WGU. I will send this recording out for everyone. We'll also put in Handshake. So feel free to watch again, share. And I truly do hope some of our folks do apply, because it is absolutely an amazing experience. It will be foundational for the rest of your life and your career. And those of us who've done it are just so appreciative of the experience. So Lauren, thank you for taking the time to share more today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you all have a wonderful day. Good luck in all of your studies and semesters coming up too. Do great work. WGU is amazing, and I've just been so impressed with some students who I've already talked to, and just a really great opportunity that you're having by being a WGU student. So wishing you all the best, hopefully talking to some of you very soon.